Hi, this is Danny Doyle, and I am here with Lilith, and much in the way, and you can see my mouse cursor, it's intentional because, tier list, much in the way that generally after finishing a Fire Emblem playthrough, I go ahead and rank all of the units in that playthrough. I thought it would be cool to sort of rank the contributions of our team members on 0%. I think I have here, you obviously can't see the very bottom, but I think I have everyone who we used to a significant extent. I didn't include people who we caught and didn't use. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this one as well. Bye-bye, we don't need you. And I didn't include baby versions with a few notable exceptions. There's a few people that I included their younger versions if it was significantly different than how the older version performed, but in general I went with just the oldest version that we ended up using. So obviously the monkeys, I used the two babies and then the adult fire. It's just the easiest to point to, but I don't have both baby and adult version of Pillow, and I'm probably going to alternate between calling them by their nickname and their actual name, because some of them I don't remember the actual names. Because I don't think there was a significant difference between baby Pillow and adult Pillow. They kind of just did the same thing. But yeah, I figured we could go through them, share our thoughts, and put them in little tiers of how good they were for 0% growths. So that starts with Banana, or Snivy. Banana, Snivy, I don't know, one or the other. I thought he was fine. I kind of expected him to be the most important person for a lot longer than he actually was. He was useful for the end fight, and that's it. So I don't know, C tier? He's cute. He did some cute stuff in the contest. What do you think, Lilith?
I was thinking high C or low B, similar reasons.
I think cuteness bias, probably high C.
Mm,
Low B.
low B.
Because, that end fight, you just have access to him and, Lillipups and Patrats. So it's kind of what are you gonna do, you know? Speaking of Lillipups and Patrats, Fodder is an instant S tier, right?
Absolutely.
Requires no explanation.
Really doesn't.
We love Fodder. I don't know what the fuck this ugly thing is, though. I think we put it in D tier, though. It's probably on there by mistake. It doesn't... I think this is a fake Pokemon. I don't think it's real. I hate it. I have Stoutland here, both to talk about Balto and the various baby Lillipups we used in the early game. I felt like they were not particularly... The baby Lillipups basically just, existed to be Leer and then die, which is something Fodder does much better. But Stoutland, despite his low level, he had fully evolved stats and he had Intimidate. I feel like it was pretty useful. Just having an Intimidate bot, is valuable, pivoting to an Intimidate dot to try to get rid of someone's attack, even if you're not going to end up using him for any damage. And he had, Ice Fang and Fire Fang. I feel like he did some work in, one of the Bianca fights, maybe, and he was useful in Skyla. And just being able to Intimidate, in Clay's gym was helpful. I liked that. I feel like combat-wise, he was pretty lacking, just because he was, level 23 or something when everyone was 5 to 10 levels higher than him. So maybe high B tier just for Intimidate? What do you think, babe?
Would agree with that. High B. A solid all-rounder that never really managed to be exceptional, but was still, very useful.
It hurts putting him this low, because Lillipup is my favorite Gen 5 Pokemon, but I feel like that's where he belongs. I really do not like this Pokemon. I really do not like this Pokemon.
Cat. Oh.
It's a cat, but what the fuck does it do? Like, Purloin and Liepard, I don't even remember what I named it. That's how bad this thing is.
Um, it dies. That's all it knows how to do.
So it's better than this ugly piece of shit. But barely.
It stares at my soul.
This thing is terrible. And the tier list had it next to beautiful fodder. Like, how fucking dare they? Monkeys. Grass monkey. Grass monkey.
The funky monkey.
Grass monkey, I feel like, is D tier. Like, he was just kind of filler. He existed on the team because we needed someone on the team. Rinka the fire monkey, though. I'm tempted to say B or A tier. Actually,
Either way.
I feel like if Stoutland, if Balto the Stoutland is B tier, Rinka's definitely not A tier, right? Because, like...
Yeah.
Like, what did she even do? Like, she just gained stats from evolution. Like, early evolution is nice, but...
I mean, it was helpful.
In the bug gym, but, like... I don't know, I feel like B tier is probably where she belongs. I kind of expected her to be a lot better than she was, and it's just that the monkey line is not particularly good.
Yeah.
And she was kind of under-leveled, so even just making up for that with evolution stones meant that she was one of the only 2 fire types we had access to for Berg, which was really nice, but I guess she was helpful for the Team Plasma arc of the forest as well, although we couldn't evolve her before then. But they do have a lot of like bugs, and the rangers had like grass types and stuff, so I guess she was like nice to have for that reason. But I don't know, I think she felt like solid filler more than anything. Water Monkey's probably A tier, simply because I do not think the first gym would be possible without it.
Yeah.
She was incredible. Like, fell off rather quickly after that, but a lot of Pokemon do. I guess the A tier, the S tier is for the people who like don't fall off after the first gym after their thing, right? Like, S tier is for the truly incredible Pokemon who just like stuck around a lot longer than they were expected to, and A tier are just like they performed really, really well for that segment of the game, right? So she belongs in A tier.
Yeah.
You have anything more to say about her, or is it kind of just like self-explanatory?
It really is, like, yeah, just a solid A tier Pokemon that performed exactly as expected, and what was expected was very incredibly useful.
She performed the function she would perform in vanilla playthroughs, and I feel like in a challenge run, being able to still do that same function, like, that's valuable. Like, she exists to get through the first gym, and like why the developers put her there, and she's still able to do that while under-leveled. This is a bad Pokemon. It's a bad bird. Bad
Bird.
Like, I'm not giving it credit for the fact that I had to continuously get it out of the PC in order to fly places. What do you think of Zebstrika? I'm torn, because I feel like it was really, really helpful with the flying gym. But we also had a lot of really, really helpful things for the flying gym. Like, we had Minipede, we had Kling Klang. We had a lot of the nice stuff for the flying gym. So it's like, I don't know. Did it really do anything after that? Not really. I am thinking either B or C tier for it. What do you think?
I think I'm feeling a C tier.
C tier? So it's worse than... I think, like, because it's weird, because we just awarded this guy A tier for basically the same thing of, like, only being good for one gym. But Zebstrika was around when I had a bunch of other options for that gym, and a bunch of much, much better options for that gym.
Yeah.
Like, Minipede was really, really good. I guess Zebstrike is better than Kling Clang. And Joltik, who I didn't even bring out.
Fair.
It's helpful in, like, one of the rival fights, too. Which was, like, after you went to bed. But it was also, like, Skyla is, like, the easiest fucking gym leader. So I don't know that Zebstrika gets a lot of credit for, like, that. Especially when there's so many other options.
I feel like Zebstrika's major failing in this was just never got a chance to shine.
Yeah, you get it too late, and then, like, very shortly afterwards... Like, very, very shortly after I got Zebstrika, I had Minipede, who's better all around because of acrobatics, and, which, speaking of, I actually forgot to add Minipede to this list. So I'll very quickly do that, I'll, like, cut to do that after we finish talking about Zebstrika. But I'm seeing that there's an absence of Minipedes. But yeah, Zebstrika, I think you said it right, like, hit the nail right on the head. Didn't have a chance to shine, because, like, it was good, but in the same way that, like, so many others... And I feel like the same could be said, actually, for Boldor as well. Like, the same thing, is it was good for the flying gym, and that's about it. Theoretically, could have been an Elite Four member if I decided to lean harder on Excadrill, but I didn't, so it just wasn't worthwhile, and I think that earns it the same spot. And Zebstrika is probably better. These feel like they basically did the exact same thing, and it wasn't a super valuable thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna cut right quick so that I can bring up Minipede. Alright, speaking of our fucking all-star, I think Minipede is our next S tier. Like, Emolga is not an incredible Pokemon, but for the purposes of this challenge run, Minipede in particular was great. He, like, comes right before the Electric Gym, high speed, ground immunity, Volt Switch, like, we got, or he comes right before the Flying Gym, not right before the Electric Gym, but we get Volt Switch from the Electric Gym in order to put on him, which we can use. He comes with Acrobatics right after a cave where we get a bunch of Sky Gems, so we can use that to sweep through portions of the game, including, like, the Ghost Tower. I mean, there's a reason that he was on 3 of the thumbnails of my, important trainer battles. Like, Minipede was just a fucking all-star. I think instant S tier.
Yeah, I mean, deserved, honestly. Again, useful way longer than the Pokemon had any right to be by normal standard.
I feel like I kept him until the 7th gym, which doesn't actually feel that much longer than he had any right to be, except for the fact that there were so many boss fights. Like, I don't know, it feels a lot longer than perhaps it actually was, because the 7th gym is such a nothing gym as well. He was useful for a lot of difficult encounters. I approve of Minipede.
Yes.
I think I caught this thing and, like, used it in one end fight, and that might not even be true. I might have kept it boxed the whole time. But it had a name that was like, ooh, woo, go, wooga, bat, and, I hated that, so we're just gonna put it here. Because, like, why? Why did it have that name? Because I'm horrible.
You gave it the name.
I mean, me and chat gave it the name, if we're being honest. Yeah, me and chat gave it the name. There's another one that I forgot right here. I'll be honest, this was a disappointment. I thought this was going to be a lot stronger than it was, and it wasn't even useful for, like, the next gym. Like, everyone told me, oh, it's bulky, oh, it's evolved, and it just sort of, like, was a flop. I'm gonna put it in C tier. Unless you have anything to say that's, like, a redeeming factor for the fetus.
I was gonna say, honestly, does it even deserve C tier?
Probably not. I think probably the monkey did more than it. Like, it actually did combat, which is more than these three can say, and it doesn't make me question whether Pokemon is a game that should exist anymore, which is more than I can say about this thing. But yeah, like, I went in, everyone hyped it up so much that I just sort of, like, believed what they said. And I was like, okay, I guess maybe I can try to solo the gym with it, and that was a mistake. That was stupid. I think, like, well, I guess C tier. It was helpful because it had Yawn,
Oh, okay, yeah.
and that's probably a better contribution than Boldor. But still, I feel like I want to rank this thing lower than it deserves, just because of how hyped it was. I feel like multiple people told me it was going to be great, to the point where I thought I could solo the entire gym with it, and let me tell you, I could not. It got, like, immediately one-shot or something stupid like that. I included Drillbur just because I caught one in addition to Excadrill, and I was disappointed by its terrible moveset, and I was really upset because Excadrill's a great Pokemon, so I wanted to justify catching it and putting it in, like, that point, because it's horrible and I hate it. Why is...
I bought, but not by much.
I mean, theoretically, Flybot did more, because, again, he never came out of the box, which is more than I can... Like, Purloin came out of the box. Like, this thing's moves were terrible. I just expected, because Excadrill is, like, one of the best Pokemon of this generation, so I just kind of expected him to be better. And he wasn't. And I hate that. Speaking of Excadrill, Excadrill was so good.
I mean, is there even a debate here? I mean...
Well, what were you gonna say? Because there might be a debate.
No, the true. I mean, I'm saying S tier. Like, Excadrill was clutch.
I was going to say A tier.
Really?
Yeah. So, Excadrill is a hell of a Pokemon. And with Sandrush and Earthquake, it's really nice. I spent 2 rare candies in order to give this thing fucking Earthquake, and it's probably partially on me for having too high expectations, but I didn't bring Excadrill into the Elite Four. I know that I've been told that Excadrill 0% can sweep Gethys' team with help from Sandstorm and Stealth Rocks. And, like, maybe that's true, but it didn't feel worth committing 2 slots of my Elite Four team to bring it. I don't know. Maybe it should. If it's either at the very top of A tier or the very bottom of S tier. Make your case for S tier, because you were the one that said that.
I mean, it was clutch for a few fights that I remember, and it is, like, just a really solid Pokemon. But yeah, I can see top of A. I would agree with that.
I mean, undeniably, it is one of the strongest, perhaps the strongest non-legendary in this generation.
Yeah, it definitely starts being near the top, but it's the question of where near the top.
I mean, the only fights I can think of it being particularly useful in are, like, some of the Victory Road fights, and some of the fights prior to Gym 7, but after Gym 6. Because you can catch them in Twist Mountain, but it wasn't good for Gym 7 because, we just did Darmanitan Sweep. And then you can catch them in Victory Road. Notably, it wasn't good for Gym 8 because it was under-leveled. Like, very far under-leveled. And then, because of that, it also wasn't good for the final Charon and Bianca fights. And then, notably, we didn't bring it into the Elite Four because it wasn't... I only had room for 1 weather setup, and I preferred Rain Dance on Sock, which we'll get to him, to Sandstorm on Boldor. Because, like, both of them have the ability to sturdy weather and then die holding a rock to set up for either Basculin or Excadrill respectively. And I just felt like Basculin was higher level, and I wasn't going to commit 4 slots to doing that twice. Like, 1 to Boldore, 1 to Excadrill, 1 to Sock, 1 to Basculin. It's just, like, that was absolutely not worth it. Maybe if I wasn't allowing legendaries, I would have him higher. Like, if I had banned legendaries, then I would probably have had more room to fit him in Boldore. But as it stood, like, I didn't. But yeah, I spent 2 rare candies in order to get an Earthquake, and I don't think I used it in a single boss fight. Because you fight Charon before Twist Mountain, and you fight Bianca after the 7th gym. I might have used it against Bianca, I honestly don't remember. But it felt like a huge waste of time. He was incredibly good in minor trainer battles, both in Victory Road and the route leading to Bianca and to Gym 8. But I feel like he wasn't the all-star I was promised. Audino, or Axolotl, or the various bad spellings of Axolotl. I honestly thought I would have an Audino on my team basically the entire playthrough, because you can guarantee them in almost any route that has Shaken Grass, which means that it could level with me. And I just sort of thought, like, it's going to be a staple. It gets Regenerator, it's bulky. But then I ended up just, like, constantly having better team members than it by the time I got to, like, Gym 4, I feel like. Maybe even Gym 3. Like, there was just always a better option. I feel like it's probably B tier, just because, like, it was useful in the early game, like, Gym 1, Gym 2, Pinwheel Forest, like, Regenerators are a good ability, and I had it in my back pocket to, like, pull out if I had an empty slot to fill. I just never had an empty slot to fill. Like, there's just really strong counters in the late game.
Yeah.
I could argue lower, but, like, it feels like an S tier, where, you know, they're Pokemon who stay around a lot longer than they should. Audino has that, except for, like, its filler that stays around a lot longer than it should through virtue of constantly leveling up every time I access a new route. So, like, I always have access to it as filler if need be. But it's never an all-star. So maybe, like, the top of C? Because, like, these are filler who were around for a little bit.
Yeah.
What do you think of Timber? It was, like, really good in the normal gym. But after that, kind of not.
I genuinely don't even remember Timber at all.
Oh, right. We used Timber on the day that you weren't there because of your headache. So that's why you genuinely don't remember Timber at all. And that'll also be the case for this thing. So I guess I'm talking about these two on my own. Yeah, Timber was, like, good in a single end fight and really good against Gym 2. Which I feel like earns it a B tier. Kind of at the same boat as, like, the Monkey, in that Sock was infinitely better at Timber's role, but, like, Timber's good as just another one who can do it. And then this Tadpole thing just feels like it was filler for one end fight, and not a particularly hard end fight at that. Sock and Throw, the Bert and Ernie. Throw was disappointing, like, kind of the same boat as Timber, but, like, worse, because Timber at least, like, I don't know. I feel like I have more positive feelings towards Timber than Throw, and that might be misplaced, but I feel like Throw was just, like, too slow, even though it's, like, supposed to be the slow, bulky one. It was too slow. I didn't like that. I don't think it really hit very hard. But this fucking thing, and this is back to ones that are, I've sped run through the ones that you weren't there for. This fucking thing is S tier. Absolutely. Like, was incredibly good in the early game as an actual fighter himself, and then transitioned into being able to set up Rain Dance with Sturdy, being able to... I mean, he held his own in the Elite Four with, like, Payback and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, this guy had Sturdy, and when facing down against Pokemon who were 10 levels higher than him, oftentimes it wouldn't even proc Sturdy. This thing is a fucking incredible Pokemon, and I feel like he definitely deserves S tier. Do you think, like, who's better, Minipete or Sock Muppet / One Punch?
I think One Punch kind of earned the higher slot.
Yeah, I feel like if you're on the Elite Four team and you contributed before that as well, probably an S tier Pokemon.
Yeah.
Speaking of S tier, we've got another really, really, really good one. Prankster Cottony.
Oh. Yeah, like
started as a Whimsicott, and then I did get that Moonstone to evolve, or Moonstone or Sunstone, I don't remember. I got a stone to evolve it, and then that added bulk. Like, initially it was Eviolite Cottony, which was really good for Berg, and then that added bulk allowed it to survive some hits from Skyla's Aerial Aces, right? So it could, like, set up and paralyze with Stun Spore, and I think it had Light Screen access as well. Like, this thing was amazing for the hardest gym in the game, and it was useful before and after that as well. That's the sign of an S tier Pokemon, and I feel like it's better than Sock, honestly. Because, like, I whipped it out for the 7th gym as well, because it can do Sunny Day with Prankster. I genuinely considered bringing it to the Elite Four and decided against it, because Sock kind of filled that slot. But, like, if I needed someone... Because, like, Prankster or Sturdy for setup, either way, is going to do it. I feel like the fact that I genuinely considered bringing a level 22 to the Elite Four... and as I am right now planning out post-game content, feel like I'm going to be bringing Pillow off the bench for a couple of those fights. Like, I feel like that earns it the highest spot other than Fodder, of course, who will always be the top of S tier. Like, without question.
I don't know.
You don't think so?
I don't think Fodder necessarily is going to get the top slot forever. Like, we've got some really useful ones here, and like if anyone was going to unseat Fodder, I feel like it should be Pillow.
Okay. We'll put Pillow above Fodder then. Fodder's the mascot. In fact, should we just... No, I was going to create a Fodder tier, but then that would fuck up my formatting.
Yeah.
I mean, my formatting's about to get fucked because you're about to see white screen stuff because as soon as these three are up here. Let's talk about this plant that I named after you and used in like one fight. I want to put it in C tier, and you're gonna be mad at me.
Probably a little bit.
I named it after you. So
like,
argue.
Also,
What's up?
but like also you're not wrong.
Okay. We'll put it at the bottom of C tier. Okay, this is another fucking good one. Holy shit, Basculin.
Basculin.
So they only had the Red Eye sprite on the tier list maker. But this is the stand-in for both Red Eye and Blue Eye. This thing fucking rules. I'm gonna go ahead and say this is almost certainly going to be the top of S tier unless I put a meme above it. Like this is the only Pokemon that would have been better than this was Fodder as a meme. And since we've unseated Fodder with Pillow, like Basculin is going to the top of S tier and not fucking leaving. This fish got us through Clay's gym, which it's the reason Clay's gym wasn't as much of an obstacle as Elisa's was. Because Excadrill is scary, but Basculin fucking knows how to deal with ground types. Then when I got Blue Eye, and now it's got adaptability because the trade one, the Red Eye, didn't have adaptability, but Blue Eye had adaptability. Now we can do Water Gem adaptability strats. Now we can do Mystic Water adaptability strats. And we got a fucking level 50 for Victory Road. We taught it Final Gambit. Like, I used a rare candy on this thing, and it taught it Final Gambit. This was how we got through, like, so many difficulties. It's the reason that I brought Sock to the Elite Four, is because I felt like the Rain Dance setup was valuable, even though it doesn't give it Swift Swim, just because the Rain Boost, like, this thing is amazing. I know I am just gushing over it, but I don't really know what else there is to do other than just say, like, Basculin. It's amazing. Like,
Yeah.
maybe you have something more to add, because I'm just rambling. Maybe you have
really
something more
don't, like-
coherent.
Just Basculin.
Just Basculin. Like, watch the fucking Elite Four videos. Watch the watch the VODs of just every time there's a random trainer. And Basculin was useful against Final Charon as well. Like, Blue Eye was always good. Blue Eye was always good. Instant S tier. Oops. Oop. My formatting. Instant S tier, instant top. No one is outseating him. Let's talk about King K. Rool. And this should actually theoretically be the more evolved version. But I brought K. Rool because I feel like K. Rool was more useful. Like, the evolved version kind of did the same thing with just, like, being an Intimidate bot. But K. Rool, I wanted the baby version because K. Rool was how we cheesed Eliza. Swapping between him and Mr. Turtle. To stop, what was it? It was Spark plus Flame Charge, right? Just, like, cheesing the AI. So I felt like it was appropriate to bring the baby in this particular instance, because that was just too funny. I don't know where that puts it. Like, Intimidate is super valuable, and then, like, getting us through the hardest gym is super valuable. I'm leaning towards A tier, but I want to hear your thoughts.
I mean, I'd agree with that.
Good enough for me. And there goes my formatting.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it like this. You can see the tops of everyone's heads.
Just a minute.
What's up?
I'll be back in a minute.
Okay. We're back. I've readjusted the format, and Lilith has adjusted food in the oven, and we're here to talk about Darumaka. I put Darumaka and Darmanitan separate because I feel like they're both good. I feel like they deserve different entries. Personally, they felt different enough to use that, I don't know. I felt like talking about them separately would be warranted. Darumaka was good for the bug gym and good for the electric gym. Both of those are incredibly hard gyms. The fact that he had hustle was frustrating because it was inconsistent. Like, I think I lost an Elisa fight because of a hustle miss at one point, right? To dig?
I feel like, yeah, you did.
It's a shame because, like, both of their abilities, whether it's hustle or Zen mode, are both kind of downsides. Hustle obviously is, like, good in that it boosts your attack, but I really don't like the accuracy drops, especially, like, it wasn't as bad on, we'll talk about communism later, but it wasn't as bad in that instance because, generally, he just needs to, like, hit 4 attacks, and if he doesn't do it, we restart the battle. Whereas with Fire type, which is what I named my Darumaka, he needed to hit, like, his big all-star moment, he needed to hit an attack after, like, at the very end of an incredibly hard fight. And I think relying on hustle late into a fight, like when it's not a Nuzlocke, obviously in Nuzlocke at all times it's equally dangerous, but late into a fight when it's not a Nuzlocke is more frustrating than something where you can just reset at the very beginning, and it feels worse because it feels like you need to do a bunch of stuff correctly and then you still have a chance of, like, just a 30% chance of, I think it's 30 is -1 accuracy. It turns it from 100% to 70. I might be wrong about that. But it's a non-insignificant chance of just missing on what should be 100 accuracy move, and that just feels bad. That said, incredibly strong. Like, he's the reason that Rinka is only B rank. I think he outstayed his expectation and probably belongs in A tier, but probably near the bottom of it. Unless you would disagree?
I would not disagree.
Darmanitan, so, like, I wanted to talk about them separately, but they're probably going to end up around the same place. Darmanitan, like, showed up at an easier portion of the game, to be honest. Like, right before the Ice Gym, which is the easiest gym, and he made it trivial, but it was going to be easy regardless. Like, we still had Excadrill, we still had, Minipede, we could have gotten, there were some encounters that I, like, skipped just because the Zen Darmanitan trivialized the Ice Gym, and then, he wasn't great for too many battles after that. He was good for Final Bianca, but, like, as strong as he was, I don't think I can put him in A tier. Like, I just don't think, like, Zen mode is a downside, because it's basically defeatist, on, like, an all-out attack Pokemon like him, but, like, I don't know, I guess he was good for Final Charon as well. What do you think? Do you think A tier below his pre-evolved, like lower than his pre-evolved form, or B tier is a better place for him?
It's a tricky one.
Because, like, he's definitely a better Pokemon overall. I mean, obviously, he's the evolved form. But he shows up at a time where he's competing with better... Like, Darumaka's competing with not very good Pokemon. Like, he was competing with the monkey. He was competing with, like, Sandile, who was basically just there for Intimidate and Immunity. Darmanitan's competing with, like, all these good Pokemon. Like, several Dragon types. I mean, technically speaking, the Legendaries are available at that point. I did not use them until after the 8th gym, but the Legendaries are actually available before Darmanitan is available. And I think because of that, I'm going to put him in B rank.
Yeah.
I didn't explicitly ban the Legendaries before the 8 badges. I just sort of wanted to see how far I could get without using them. But the fact that they're available before he's available, and they would have outclassed him by far, I feel like inherently is a point against him. Like, I had them to fall back on if I wanted to, I just never felt like I needed to. But I wanted them for the Elite Four, basically. Dwebble was disappointing. I was excited because I like Dwebble, I like Crustle. They're fun. They're crabs. We named them Crabgrave. I kind of want to put him in C tier. I also kind of want you to convince me not to.
I don't think I can.
Sturdy's good, I guess. Sturdy's good, but only if you could do something with it, which you can't. My poor little guy. Did we use this fucking thing, or did I put it on there for no reason? I think we used it in the bug gym.
Might have used it in the bug gem.
The fact that I can't remember it probably is indicative of its value. That's the other thing is, if there's someone who I used and I forgot to put on this tier list, that's probably a sign they're bad.
Yeah.
I guess we put him in the D tier. Maybe he deserves better, I just don't remember. Siglith was good though. Siglith put up like light screens and stuff. Siglith helped in the end fight. Never like an all-star, but a team player. Where would you say that goes? Like just based on, I don't know.
I feel like that's a pretty solid B tier.
Probably in between the two fighting types, you think? Like here?
I feel like that's fair.
This is all incredibly objective. Which is why I'm putting the ghost type. Actually, I legitimately think this probably deserves A tier. Will-O-Wisp was so useful. Like, I am valuing people who were good in the Elisa fight higher than people who were good in other gym leader fights because of how much of an obstacle that fight was. I think that if you were good in that fight, it is more valuable than being good in, like, the Lenora fight. Like, we had 3 fighting types. Like, these guys were all good in the Lenora fight, but, like, Lenora fight wasn't that hard, and we also had Sock Muppet. Whereas, like, everyone was working together for the Elisa fight, and it was still a pain in the ass. Like, it's also why the Water Monkey is A tier, because without the Water Monkey, I imagine it would have been a huge roadblock at the first gym. So, like, girlfriend favoritism aside, I legitimately think, and it's the reason, again, that I put the baby form on there, I think that was an A grade performance, even though she fell off pretty soon after. Like, those burns were how we won.
Yeah.
Probably better than better than Daramaka because of that. Like, that. And even if it weren't for the fact that we cheesed them with the burns, being able to cut the attack for the physical attacks with burn, being able to just get a little chip damage with burn, like, she was great. And I mean, with Eviolite, was able to take a hit and get off multiples, and it was nice. It's really... Burn is a powerful status, and that was an incredibly hard fight, and I don't think we would have been able to do it without it. Calfagrigus was fine. Burn's a good status, and it still has Will-O-Wisp, but I feel like it didn't do an A tier performance. It's sort of the Darmanitan problem of, like, competing against better things.
Yeah. Yeah, that was some stiff competition at that point.
Maybe, like, here-ish? It was really hard when opponents had it. Really no... Oh! Did Discord crash again? I think Discord crashed again. Did Discord crash again?
Discord crashed again.
Ugh. Discord has been giving us problems. But yeah, this guy was really tough when opponents had it. Like, Getsus's Calfagrigus was a pain in the ass, but I just don't think we were able to make use of it that well. Mr. Turtle.
Mr. Turtle.
Mr. Turtle. Memes aside, I
Turtle.
think he's an S tier.
I mean, Mr. Turtle put in a powerful performance.
Like, I think probably belongs here. He was good for so fucking long. We got him after the 3rd gym, and I was still using him after the 6th gym. Aqua Jet plus Ancient Power plus just being bulky. Solid Rock was actually fine. Like, I still would have rather had Sturdy, but Solid Rock did work. Obviously, his contributions to Elisa's gym cannot be ignored, but he was really useful in other boss fights as well, like super effective Scald against Clay. Like to be a backup to Basculin.
Yeah.
I think I whipped him out against N at least once, I think twice. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I brought him into Skyla's gym as well. Like, he was really good. I might not have brought him into Skyla's gym, actually, because I brought 3 electric types. I don't remember. It's been a while since that stream. But he was good for a lot longer than he had any right to be. Especially considering that we picked him over Archon, and I did that just because of the Elisa fight. And my thoughts that, like, yeah, my thoughts that, like, a Sturdy would be useful for the Elisa fight, and then he ended up just, like, being incredibly powerful. Like this thing. Yeah, S-tier performance.
Totally.
Like, I don't know what to say other than just, like, somehow he was always useful in, like, every fight. Somehow. Speaking of people who performed way higher than I thought they would, what do you think of Garboy? Oh no, you weren't there for Garboy. That was on another of the migraine streams. Garboy single-handedly, I mean, granted, part of it was Drayden's AI, because he went for, like, Dragon Tail, which has negative priority, but Garboy being able to, like, clear Smog in order to trick the AI for going for Dragon Dances and stuff, being able to Toxic, being able to just be incredibly bulky, I feel like that's at the very least a B tier performance, possibly A. It was really only good for, like, that one short section of the game, but so was everyone.
Yeah.
Plus, he's adorable. Look at his
Yeah.
little pom-pom ears. What do you think of, what was this, Big Moose? What do you think of Big Moose?
Big Moose. No, what do we even use Big Moose for?
I think Clay's Gym for Tail Slap? Or no, like a single Bianca fight for Tail Slap? The fact that I'm not remembering is probably indicative of Big Moose's value.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is.
We traded its baby for Basculin. Yeah, kind of just filler. I mean, thumbnail worthy. Put in a thumbnail worthy performance against Bianca one time, but not great. This fucking thing. I put this on here specifically so that I could rank it lower than the goddamn monstrosity. This thing was supposed to be like, oh, it's like a fairly bulky psychic type, I thought. I gave it the light clay. Its job was to get off a single either light skin or reflect against Drayden. I named it Landorus T as a joke. And what did it fucking do? It immediately got one shot and died. Outsped, one shot, died. Not even a critical hit. I was so upset. I gave it the light. I stole the light clay for this fucking thing to never get off the screen. It died before it could get off the screen. Fuck this thing. The worst Pokemon. The worst Pokemon. Fuck this thing.
It was a pretty pathetic display, yeah.
It's horrible. Ducklet, though. What do you think of Grapes?
Grapes! I think it was mostly a stream I wasn't there for.
I was against Clay? You weren't there for Clay? Oh, you weren't there for Clay. He had ground immunity and super effective water moves, like, against Clay. I think he was fine. He wasn't the greatest, but he was fine. It's just a solid B tier. Probably worse than Banana. Just because other people, we had other, like, Banana probably goes a little higher than some of these, like, we had a better option for you people. We'll do this. We'll just rearrange like that. Okay, that's probably good. Yeah, it feels on the same level as, like, you know, like Throw and Rinka, of just, like, yeah, you're one of the things that's super effective against the gym, but we have better options, even though he had immunity. Immunity was nice. If I could have gotten Feather Dance off and, like, taken advantage of that to set up, it would have been nice, but I didn't have anyone who could set up. Bambi, on the other hand, amazing performance against N with the various jump kicks. Probably like here-ish. That was another one of the Clay stream.
Yeah.
So like probably here-ish. Put Grapes down just to stop this from getting too crowded, because Fungus Among Us is in the same sort of like scenario as Grapes. Actually, I think higher than Grapes, because that Palpitoad, like being able to deal 4x against that Palpitoad, was Fungus Among Us's like value as a mushroom teammate person. But yeah, that's basically all it, like, I guess it was a solution. It was a solution to a problem that we had. I think that's probably B tier material. Probably better than these scrubs. Yeah, that seems about right. That seems about right. What do you think of, we had Ferroseed? What do you think of Ferroseed?
This is another one I don't really remember.
Yeah, the reason I asked you is I also don't. Or it's not even Ferroseed, is it? Right, it's the pre-evolved form. Its name I don't remember. Barb something.
Ferroseed.
That's Ferroseed? Is the other one Barbs?
No, the other one's Ferrothorn.
Ferrothorn. Oh, Iron Barbs is the ability. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, it's good and competitive, I guess.
Sure.
Dotson? Was it Dotson? Botson? What was his name? You named it. The gears.
I named
This thing.
Oh, right. I named it,
It's like after a computer part.
Yeah, give me a minute. It'll come to me.
It was like Boston, but not Boston.
Babbage.
Babbage.
That was Babbage.
What do you think about Babbage?
Again, didn't really perform how I expected.
It's part of the
I don't
Volt
know.
Switch pivot, I guess.
Yeah, it was like fine.
I can't put it higher than Zebstrika, because Zebstrika just did everything it did but better.
Yeah,
So like there, maybe?
I feel like that's fair.
Can't really put Zebstrika above Audino either, because like Audino stuck around longer. This was another one from a stream you weren't there for, but he was just one of the ragtag gang of 5 that took on Drayden, because apparently this fucking piece of shit decided to bite the bullet and die before, okay. The B tier overflowing is bothering me, so I'm going to move Garboy up to A. This is another one of that, like, ragtag team against the dragons. It was fine. Yeah, he was fine. He was fine. I think just sort of like, there, we gotta move a bunch of Germanitan up to stop the overflow. These guys are getting moved up because I don't want it to overflow over the side of the thing. So we're just gonna move them up like that. So now Garboy's in a Darmanitan sandwich. As he should be. Yeah, I think like having dragon resistance and being appropriately leveled made him a valuable asset, but like I don't really remember too much other than just like he got off some metal claws and then he died and I think he toxicked someone or something. But let's talk about communism. Because this should be fresh in your mind. We just did the stream. This little fucker was incredibly good. Hustle was more of an upside actually, because everything he was doing was things like at the start of the battle, so I could reset if I needed to. But like he was our answer to the psychic type.
Yeah.
Durant is a hell of a fucking Pokemon.
Durant is a hell of a Pokemon.
Like, I underrated this thing until I used it in Nuzlocke one time, which is unrelated to the run, but like, then I realized just how fucking powerful it was. And I'm in love with it now. And that's why I put it on the team for the Elite Four, and it turns out it was a good decision. Because it just, like, it plowed through problems. Like, those problems were specifically Caitlyn's team and, yeah, specifically Caitlyn's team, like, was the biggest issue, and it had stab bug moves. I guess it also had crunch for the ghosts, and the clutch dig against Marshall. Yeah, where do you think it goes? A tier? Like, I feel like I can't put anyone who's on the Elite Four lower than A or S, right?
Yeah, I feel like you really can't.
I'm going with A tier. It showed up so late that I don't know it's an S tier performance. But like, probably the top of A tier, honestly. Like, Steel is just a really good typing to have as well. And the fact that it's Bug, therefore eliminating its weakness to ground, just like, yeah. I fucking love this thing. Speaking of Steel types, Bicorn. I mean, the legendaries are all really, really good, right? I think we put them in this order, and we put them all in S tier. I feel like.
Yeah.
Like, Joe, obviously Joe got rare candy favoritism, but, like, also just being able to attack is really nice. Probably, like, here, and here. Like, they're all basically of equivalent strength. Light screen and better typing. And then, like, just, you know, just also existing. I feel like Bicorn just sort of the one that we whipped out when... The one that I whipped out when I just, like, needed to throw off a Sacred Sword and didn't want to risk Joe. And then, like, Wireless was basically just a light screen bot. And, like, Giga Drain was also good. And then Joe had Swords Dance and Sacred Sword. Like, was just a better version of, Bicorn. But, like, Bicorn would come out if I didn't want to risk Joe or if Joe was low in HP or something. I feel like that, like, I don't really feel like breaking them down individually would be productive, because they basically, like, they filled niches, like Light Screen and whatnot, but they're basically the same thing.
Yeah.
They're very, I feel like the legendary trios are usually much more distinct than these three are. These three felt like the same Pokemon in different forms. Like, it felt like Rotom forms, honestly. I was a little disappointed. I've never used the Black-White legendaries before, because I generally don't use legendaries. But I kind of expected them to be like Zapdos, Articuno, and Moltres, like, feel very different because they represent different elements. And even though these guys have, like, different secondaries, like the rock, the grass, and the steel, I felt like the fighting was their more prominent type. As opposed to, like, with the birds, you know, flying is just sort of like a secondary. I don't know, I was disappointed with them as a trio, to be honest. I was not disappointed with their performance, but just, they didn't feel distinct from each other. It was just like, this one's the same but better at attacking. This one's the same but better at special defense. This one's the same but better at physical defense. And, like, Wireless, just because I gave it Light Screen, had a niche. And Joe, just because I valued being able to attack and one-shot things, had a niche. But, like, they weren't that distinct. I don't care for them, to be honest.
Yeah.
What about Buttsplosion? Where do we put Buttsplosion? It's so weird, because, like, generally in Fire Emblem, I feel weird about ranking someone who shows up on the last map too highly. And that's kind of what Buttsplosion did. Like, he shows up just for the end and gets his finale. And he wasn't even the best member of our team there.
Yeah.
Like, the horses were better than him. Like, Joe in particular. Basculin was better than the fucking box legendary. Let that sink in. Basculin performed better in the final fight than the fucking box legendary that we were forced to bring.
Yeah. That's pretty sad.
I feel like he belongs in C tier for that. But because he's the box legendary and he was worse than everyone on... Sock contributed more by setting up a rain dance for Basculin than Buttsplosion did, I feel like. Like, Buttsplosion just, like, 1v1'd 1v1'd whoever was in the front because he was forced to be in the front, and then died to whoever was second. Like, he 1v1'd the other dragon, and then died to end second Pokemon. And then he 1v1'd... I don't even remember who Ghetsis opened with, but he 1v1'd that Pokemon, and then died to Buffalont. fucking pathetic. I'm putting him in the very bottom of D tier, lower than this fucking piece of shit. Just because he's the box legendary and he performed so abysmally in the only fights he was allowed to compete in. It was kind of pathetic.
Kind of was.
Like, I don't know. I don't think that communism would have performed better in the fight, but I kind of wish that I had tried and seen if he had, because that would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the rankings. Do you have anything else to say? Anyone seem like they're in the wrong place? We can move them around last minute.
I don't think so. No.
Everything looks basically right. If I forgot anyone, it's because they weren't like, I didn't put the people who I never brought out of the box as well. Is the other thing. So like, there's definitely some people I caught that aren't on here. And like, if there's anyone I used who I didn't put on here, they weren't memorable enough for a ranking. So just put them in D tier with your imagination. Like, put them like here in between these two. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. See y'all in the post game, I guess. Maybe Buttsplosion will have a redemption arc in the post game. I think part of what it was is like Buttsplosion being forced in the front to a matchup that's not great for it was probably part of, like, it wasn't, it was kind of like a team that was built to counter Buttsplosion.
Yeah.
Like, Palpitoad comes out immediately after you already 1v1'd a dragon of equal strength. And now you just have 4x resisted. Yeah. Okay. That's it. Bye.
Bye.